It's about Bourbon 101, right?
Also,
So,
we should talk about just sort of how meticulous we were in finding these ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Bourbon 101, right? This is more.
Fix this phone.
Don't worry about it. This is more about fun. This is about consumers. This is about hanging and talking. Obviously, bourbon is the true American spirit. It's sweet. It's dynamic. It has a lot of amazing flavors going on. So Bourbon 101, obviously, is corn, malted barley, wheat, and rye. To be a bourbon, a straight bourbon whiskey, you have to be at least 51% corn and aged a minimum of 4 years, which we're really excited. We'll talk about later some of the line extensions coming down the road and our older bourbons that we have. So, we are 65% corn, 22% rye. Anything over 18%, obviously, is high rye content. And yeah, you're right. We do keep that that wheat and barley to ourselves. Paul and I spent 6 months just adjusting, just getting into this place where we just knew that we had gotten the blend right. So we don't have our sniffing. I mean, our tasting glasses.
I want to fix my phone keeps going to sleep. I just want to really. Can I fix it real quick?
You can't. You'd have to go into all kinds of settings and stuff. Don't worry about it.
No? All right. Keeps going to sleep, so if it hangs up on you, see, like right there. We just keep tapping it.
So the one thing is, I think if you're going to be, for people out there, and I know it's might be early, but if you have some bourbon, or particularly our bourbon, in your hands, when you're smelling this, right, everybody?
Yeah.
You're getting that like baked banana bread. You smell that?
Definitely, yeah. It's got that toasty. I was gonna say maybe more of like a wheat bread, but definitely it's got that bready quality.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like a wheat. Yeah, for me, I smell a ton of banana.
Banana, and also too, believe it or not, honeysuckle. There's like an element, because in Louisiana we have so much honeysuckle, and I get that like banana bread, honeysuckle kind of, and then obviously going in, it's like you said. Listen, we are very proud of our bourbon at MGP, because we built and sourced out only the highest quality of MGP bourbon. I mean, they've been making bourbon for 110 years. They know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, I talked to plenty of whiskey makers who I say, so it says distilled in Indiana, that's MGP, and they just go blank, right? And they just don't want to say it. And it's like, well, it's out there. People know, so why not embrace it?
Yeah, no, it's I think because I don't know why there was such a stigma about that. You don't have to be like a micro distillery, or, I mean, these are the people that have been making bourbon for over a century. And so obviously, we are going to build a distillery, and we are going to have our own world, like a Brothers Bond world, which we're truly, truly excited about. But when you get into this, for the new bourbon drinker, it sounds a little crazy to just be drinking straight bourbon, but we got this to a place where you can just drink it right out of the bottle, because it is that smooth and nuanced.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we were chasing in a nutshell, just on a super kind of like basic level, what we were chasing was, we wanted it to be complex enough for people like Ian and myself. We've been drinking bourbon for over a decade, but we wanted it to be approachable for people who don't think of bourbon as their spirit of choice, or dark spirits in general. They prefer tequila or vodka or something. We really wanted this bourbon to be like a really something that they can taste right out of the bottle or on the rocks and go, oh my God, wow, I didn't realize it was so smooth. Because so many times we think of these sort of like really kind of, I guess, harsh tasting dark spirits, and that's the stigma that comes with a darker spirit. And we really wanted to kind of make sure that it was approachable enough, but yet nuanced.
Right, exactly.
I think in that mash bill really achieves that for you guys. There's complexity, there's nuance, even at 40%, which is the minimum to be whiskey. But when you taste it, it's not fiery. It's not necessarily aggressive.
Exactly.
And I think
Ian's got this line that he always says that is kind of the new Ian. It's the Ian line that he coined, but it's accurate. It's life kicks you in the teeth, Your bourbon doesn't have to, which is true. You know, it's like, and you know, the reality is we will have all sorts of line extensions and age statements, and you know, so we're going to be, you know, we'll have that harsh, you know, hard. I'm not going to say it's still going to be delicious, but it'll be delicious, it'll be a little bit more, you know, specific.
The 100 proof
you guys need to do,
50,
you guys
50%.
need to have you guys should have a Brothers bottled in bond, right? Doesn't that
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That bottled in bond, 50% Brothers Bond is going to be. It's
we have a
blender.
blender. We actually have a blender already.
And so that we are so excited to come to market with, because that's also going to, you know, what I've been hearing from people is, you know, a lot of our buddies, you know, like Gen Z gals or millennial gals and guys are saying, you know, what's going to be great about that is I can crush this, you know, 80 proof, and my husband or my boyfriend or my dad or my brother, they're going to crush the 100 proof or the 50%. And so it's just a great balance, right? And it's all the same similar profile. It's just the ABV is different. So, you know, this is why we crafted this. So if you want to like dive into a little bit, you know, obviously for me, and you know this as well, we say this all the time, because your first sip of bourbon is not going to be your best, because you don't know what's on your tongue.
Right.
Chocolate.
I mean, you're going to get ethanol. I mean, it's an alcoholic product. I mean, I always say your second sip is your most informed sip, because your palate has adjusted.
Exactly. It's been adjusted. It's also, you know, within that adjustment, like for people who wouldn't understand or don't know, and they say, well, what does adjusted mean? I mean, ultimately, you know, it's clearing off, because that alcohol will take off. It'll clear it, clean that palate. It'll also give your tongue a nice sort of base layer of the sugars and the oak and the spice and the nuance of that bourbon. So once that second hit comes over, woo, it's really, you're right, it's informed. So let's go ahead and taste this, everybody. So
yeah, if you have, again,
get that nose.
If anybody has Brothers Bond out there, pour it in your glass. We're going to taste this together.
You get that great nose. You have a small sips, you don't get so much heat. Or if you get bigger sips, you can blow out the heat. Heat is that alcohol taste.
Yeah, it's got a nice creamy texture to it. The body nice, even at 40%. Sometimes we sip a 40% whiskey. It's a little silky. It's a little light.
Exactly.
It has the body.
It has such a great viscosity. It's you know, and it's just got this like what you said. To me, there's like a creamy banana oaky. You know, it's just, God, I love it.
I do too. And then, so for everybody at home, or at work, which I doubt you're drinking bourbon at work, but I mean, I guess we are.
Well, I mean, I'm at work right now, guys.
But after, you know, as you're tasting that, now you're going to get that little kick of sweet on the back end. You feel that? You taste that? And what you just experienced is what we call an equal sensory proportion, meaning, you know, all of those grains are expressed over your palate, but in total balance and harmony. And Paul and I, we're not trying to sound, you know, too kumbaya about it. It's true. That's what he and I really busted our asses trying to figure out, which is how do we get people to share this and love every second of it as an experience, you know?
Yeah.
You really screwed this one up, Paul.
And I should say, you know, I'm sipping out of a tasting glass right now. However anybody wants to enjoy their whiskey is entirely up to them. If you want to mix it with Coke, if you want to put it on a bunch of ice, if you want to drink it out of a plastic cup, maybe that's not the best way to do it, but it's your whiskey. You can decide how to drink it.
100%. What was that magazine article? I don't remember. You even texted me. You're like, dude, this is so good. It was a cover I did. I don't remember, but it was Nobleman. And in these big print, the magazine printed, bourbon. So it was a quote from me. Bourbon should be consumed however the hell you want it to be. There's no snobby, like, you know, man.
That's right.
Yeah, we're like, it's not about that. I mean, I have horse shit on my boots and dirt under my fingernails. Like,
again, you know, because I mean, at the end of the day, we were talking to this master distiller that we work with, right? He's a master blender, rather, and he's phenomenal, and he's become kind of a mentor for the brand and really helped us and guided us. And we were asking him all these questions, you know, and he said, "Look, guys," and this, you know, this guy's a PhD in bourbon essentially, and he's like, it's your taste palette. It's your, nobody can argue with, you know, everything is subjective. It's a subjective taste palette, and all this kind of like, well, this is right and this is wrong. Yeah, of course there's like, but at the end of the day, this is me and Ian. This is what we like, and this is what we're putting out into the world, you know?
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people who, when they first started drinking whiskey, they'd mix it with Coke, and then maybe they graduate to ice, and then they graduate to neat. If this is your first whiskey, if you are a Vampire Diaries fan and you pick this up because of that, I don't think the expectation is that you jump in neat, right? The expectation is
Sure.
Approach it how you want, get yourself familiar with it.
Sure.
Yeah, however you feel comfortable with, you know, ice honestly is really a great way because it does condense the flavor a little bit, but it also gives a little bit of dilution,
Yeah,
even just after a minute.
And cooling the liquid is also a great way to kind of make it a little more approachable for people who aren't used to it. You know?
Right. Or even a little soda or a little ginger or whatever you have, you know, that's going to open it up for you so you can get in there and experience. And like you said, you know, stop down or graduate to something where you can really experience just the flavor of it.
Yeah,
you know?
I will say, you know, if there's one way to enhance your enjoyment, and this is really what the ethos of the brand is about, share it, right?
Absolutely.
Share the whiskey. I'm actually getting together with my buddies next Friday for the first time in over a year to share some whiskey together. And that's
great.
That's what I really love about this is that
That's it.
it's about coming together. You guys came together as a result of being cast on this show where you you had to drink bourbon, but a true friendship blossomed because of that. And this is about, and all whiskey will be better when you share it. That's like,
yes, that's exactly it. And you know, we have like, it's, the name is Brothers Bond, but that's a nod to Ian and myself. At the end of the day, this is whoever you're drinking this with, you're creating a bond. You know, we want this bourbon to be consumed with someone, you know, with a group, with another person, whatever, and to celebrate and to connect. And that's it. And that really is what ultimately what alcohol should be. Alcohol should be a symbol of connecting and celebrating and kicking back and relaxing and connecting with one another. And that's what it should be. End of story, you know?
Yeah.
100%, man.
So I have a couple questions here for you guys too.
Tell us.
Who would you, because this is about sharing a whiskey together, who would you love to share a whiskey with throughout time?
Oh, man.
Because the reason I ask this is because on the show, the Salvatore brothers have been alive for a very long time.
Long time.
Vampire, you know, it's possible they were drinking with Jack Daniel himself, right? I think.
Probably.
Maybe Jim Beam. So is there anybody you guys would love to share a dram with?
You know, man, there are some really badass people that I'd love to share a dram with. But I'll tell you, just from studying and just the endless amounts of interviews and things I've really watched in this guy. And I lived in South Africa for a little while, but my mom and I talked about this the other day, and I said, you know, Mom, you know who I'd really love to sit and have pour a Brothers Bond whiskey with would be Nelson Mandela. What a powerhouse of compassion and forgiveness and love, and like to sit there across from someone like that and share a bourbon, I just think would be on another level. You know
who I think of? I think of classic old school writer. It'd be great to sit down with like Ernest Hemingway.
Oh,
you know, sit down with Ernest Hemingway.
It'd probably be a pretty dark conversation.
Yeah. But
you guys would have to bring more than one bottle.
What's that?
You'd have to bring multiple bottles.
Yeah. By the way, he was a big, you know, probably not in a good way, but he was a drinker, you know. But sure, he has experience. He could tell me whether he enjoys the palate of Brothers Bond.
Oh man, I think about like those old. I read everything. You know, you think about like. Just being down in the tropics with those guys, and you know they all drank gin tonics because tonic has quinine or quinine, whatever your pronunciation is, which is an anti-malarial.
Is that right?
That's the only reason. Wow. That's why they drink gin and tonics in the tropics.
Wow.
So
full of information, this guy.
Useless information.
Great for Jeopardy.
You promised, Paul. You promised good Ian quotes, so he knows how to deliver.
He sure does.
Damn.
You guys said to me over Zoom that you guys would go to concerts together and bring whiskey